Welcome back to this special edition of Hannity. It's the end of the world as we know it. At least that's what the left and the mainstream media want you to think. Some compared Trump's meeting with Putin to the Holocaust, Pearl Harbor, and 9/11. But the favorite new talking point from some liberals, never-Trumpers, and their friends in the media is that President Trump has committed treason. Take a look.
I want to read the definition of treason.
This was nothing short of treasonous. We're hearing a new word, right? He said it was treason, right?
The words like, treason and undermining, our Republican little case R rule of government are being used now.
We have a treasonous president.
The very fact that reasonable people can disagree on whether or not we're talking about treason or high crimes and misdemeanors or what have you, I find genuinely shocking and seriously nauseating.
Joining us now with legal analysis of these absurd claims is the author of the book, The Case Against Impeaching Trump, Harvard Law professor Alan Dershowitz, Fox News contributor Sarah Carter, Judicial Watch president Tom Fitton. All right, Professor Dershowitz, I'll go to you first. What is treason?
Treason is the only crime defined specifically in the Constitution. It shall consist only in levying war against the United States or in adhering to their enemies, giving them aid and comfort. Obviously, it's wartime. It's what Aaron Burr was accused of doing. It's what people who became Nazis and supported the Nazis and joined the Nazi regime were accused of doing. It's not what President Trump did, nor is it what President Franklin Delano Roosevelt did when he went to Yalta and sat down with Stalin and allowed him to control all of Eastern Europe. Many Americans on the right were calling that treasonous or treason, but you can't just throw that term around. It's the only crime specifically defined in the Constitution. I want to make one more point. Sure. To compare what President Trump did to the Holocaust or to Kristallnacht is a form of Holocaust denial. Because what it suggests is that nothing more happened to the Jews than is happening today in America. It suggests there were no gas chambers, there were no killing fields, there was no plan to kill 6 million Jews. It's a disgraceful comparison.
Well,
and it just demeans the suffering that so many people went through during the Second World War.
Professor, without a doubt, the pain of the Holocaust is still rippling through our society and the world as well it should.
Of course.
But Sarah Carter, I'll go to you. They also likened it to 9/11. 3,000 Americans were attacked on 9/11 and killed. What do these Democrats and the mainstream media, do they like laugh in a corner, or do they believe this?
What's so frightening, Judge Janine, is that I actually think they believe this. And at first it would seem laughable. I was thinking the first time I heard that, I thought, oh, is this a joke? Is this the crazy uncle in the corner? And then I kept hearing it over and over and over again. I mean, CNN dedicated nearly 8 hours to calling the president treasonous. It is punishable by death. Think about that. This is disinformation. This is a campaign against an administration that is so volatile and so dangerous. Look, if they're worried about Russia, they should be worried about themselves more, because the disinformation campaign that is coming across on the media and from the rhinos and from the Democrats is far more dangerous than what happened with Russia.
Well, clearly, I mean, it is a hate campaign, Tom Fitton. And, a year ago, you would ask for freedom of information on certain documents. The Department of Justice comes back and says, no, 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 no. So in February of this year, you actually file a lawsuit. I mean, you followed through with this.
Right.
And now you're getting information, I believe, on the minimally corroborated dossier that we knew was a fake. And I believe that we're now finding out that that dossier was an essential part of the FBI's application for the warrant.
Well, this is a big deal in the sense the FBI supposedly is going to give us, I would presume, redacted materials about the FISA application, which this DNC Clinton dossier was used to support. So we're going to get these FISA application warrants, or at least versions of them, that have been denied to the American people thus far. And it's been a year. The cover-up's beginning to end, and we'll see just how far the deep state's willing to go in terms of showing exactly the abuses it engaged in to target Trump. Remember, the allegation by Devin Nunes' intelligence community was that there would be no FISA warrants, there'd be no spying on the Trump team, but for Hillary Clinton's dossier that was laundered into the DOJ and FBI through Boussor, through the State Department, Sidney Blumenthal, you name it. So this could be a big deal.
Well,
we don't know. We were supposed to get the documents today. We haven't even gotten them yet.
Right. I saw that you were supposed to get it today. But everything that you've been doing, Tom Fitton, has been a big deal by getting information that Congress can't get. But I'm going to go to you, Professor Dershowitz. Now, let's assume that Tom Fitton ends up getting information that proves that the dossier was totally an essential part of the warrant, and that we know that Hillary Clinton paid for it. Where do we go from there legally? What happens?
Well, there's a case called Franks versus Maryland, which says that if a warrant, it didn't deal with a national security warrant, it's even worse if it's a national security warrant, because that's done ex parte, and the court is supposed to be able to trust the people who are bringing it to them. But if it's based on misinformation or failure to provide essential information, the entire warrant can be thrown out, and then you get to the issue of fruit of the poisonous tree. And it's just not clear what it would do to the ongoing investigation. You know, in my book, The Case Against Impeaching Trump, I follow through this whole analysis of what would happen if, in the event, we had a situation like that. And we have to get back to the point of treason as well. You know, treason is an impeachable offense. Yes, it's punishable by death. But the only people who commit treason and the only people who are subject to impeachment are people who actually join forces militarily with our enemies and help them during time of war. People like Ezra Pound, people like the woman who broadcast to Americans, people who Benedict Arnold. But treason is not something that can be used against the president. They used to do that in England, but they don't do it in America.
Sarah Carter, what are your sources telling you about the information that may be released to Tom Fitton?
Well, once this information comes out, I have been told by numerous sources that the answers will be revealed, and it's going to be explosive. And this is the reason why, Judge Jeanine, the House Intelligence Committee and the other committees want the release of those documents. They don't want to allow the DOJ to continue hiding this from the American public.
And Tom Fitton, just a few seconds. You know, Congress wants it. They don't want DOJ to hide it, as Sarah Carter just said. But you're the only guy getting it. So my hat's off to you. But I'm not wearing a hat.
Well, you know, you got to go to court. Congress doesn't go to court. Come on, Congress, join us.
All right. Professor Alan Dershowitz, Sarah Carter, Tom Fitton, thanks so much for being with us.